This is my audience, Michael Bowney and Andy Hendricks. Michael Bowney will also be taping my speech. On September 11, 2001, 4 coordinated attacks launched by the Islamic terroristic group Al-Qaeda hit the United States in New York City and Washington, D.C. On that Tuesday morning, 19 Al-Qaeda terrorists hijacked 4 passenger jets, intending to fly them in suicide attacks into targeted buildings. By the end of the day, almost 3,000 people were killed. I am speaking with you today to inform you on the war on terror. I will go over how the war began, what the United States military did during the war, and what is being done now to make sure that attacks like 9/11 never happen again. How the war on terror began. Terrorists hijacked 4 planes and were determined to crash them into targeted buildings, killing everyone on board the plane and all of the innocent people inside of the buildings. In retaliation, the United States began a bombing campaign on Afghanistan with the mission statement of dismantling Al-Qaeda and stopping terroristic organizations. From the online article, War on Terror, by Anup Shah, I quote, "This ultimately resulted in the U.S. declaring and waging a war on terror," end quote. Although the initial bombings and the presence of U.S. troops in Afghanistan were effective at neutralizing terroristic cells, more needed to be done to ensure that these extremist groups were dealt with. The International Security Assistance Force, or ISAF, was created by the UN Security Council to stop terroristic groups. I read from the Terrorism Issues section on About.com that an attempt was made to establish a new Afghan government with the help of the U.S. and its allies. In 2003, Taliban forces started an insurgency campaign against the Afghan government and ISAF troops. By 2006, there was a dramatic increase in Taliban-led insurgents activity in Afghanistan. NATO increased the number of soldiers deployed to the area. My first visual aid is a picture of NATO troops being deployed to Afghanistan. From Chomsky's article, Wars on Terror, I quote, "The sharp break in the traditional patterns surely qualifies 9/11 as a historical event, and the repercussions are sure to be significant." With the help of both U.S. troops and its allies, terrorist activity in Afghanistan was greatly diminished, but not all deadly organizations were destroyed. On May 2, 2011, U.S. officials announced that Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden was killed in a special operation codenamed Operation Neptune Spear. But that was not the end of terroristic extremist groups. My second visual aid is a picture of the former Al-Qaeda leader Osama bin Laden. Information from an article on Wikipedia.com, War in Afghanistan 2001 to present, says that on June 22, 2011, President Obama addressed the nation that 10,000 American troops would be withdrawn by the end of 2011 and an additional 23,000 would be withdrawn by the end of the 2012 summer. Other allied countries also began withdrawing troops. The newspaper The New York Times stated that on May 2, 2012, Afghan President Hamid Karzai and the U.S. President Barack Obama signed a strategic partnership agreement between the two countries to provide a long-term framework for the relationship between Afghanistan and the United States. Through my interview with my father, Billy Ayers, a 22-year veteran from the United States Active Army, I learned that there are still bombs going off almost every week. If you look, you can find new articles and reports on suicide, vehicle, and IED bombings in countries such as Jerusalem and Iraq. Osama bin Laden has been killed, and the terrorist group Al-Qaeda seems to be no more, but hostilities are still high in the Middle East. In conclusion, you don't see much about the war in Afghanistan on CNN anymore, but there are still troops deployed away from their home into a hostile country to keep Americans safe. Today I have talked about September 11th, how the War on Terror began, the initialization of ISAF and counterterrorism organizations, and what is currently happening across the Atlantic Ocean. Today, American soldiers are fighting across seas. Tomorrow, they will still be there. And until all evil is destroyed and American citizens are safe, they will remain. Thank you.